Give him a big clap of welcome. Thank you for his time.
Okay, good morning everyone. Once again, my name is Santrach. I'm the supervisor of the CRMLS Compliance Department. There we go. So today I'm going to be going over the top 5 most common violations of the rules and regulations that my department sees on a daily basis, and more importantly, how to not commit them. A couple things before I roll into this. I only have 30 minutes to speak, and I have a lot of material to present, so unfortunately I can't accept questions during the course of the presentation, but I will be here afterwards if anyone wants to speak on a one-on-one basis. Additionally, if you have to take a phone call during the course of the presentation, not a problem. I just ask that you take it somewhere where it won't distract from the presentation. That being said, let's go ahead and kick this. So a brief bit about CRMLS. At this time, we are composed of 38 participating AORs, BORs, and other MLSs, which gives you, our members, access to over 100,000 users worth of other data. That's a list of them up there. On top of that, we also have 18 participating data share MLSs, and those are other MLSs and systems that are not members of us, nor are we of them. But because of our data share agreement, you can see their listings and they can see yours. So that gives you access to an additional 47,000 users worth of data. On top of that, we have 6 reciprocal MLSs. And those are MLSs that we don't have data share agreements with, but through your association, you have the capability of entering a reciprocal listing of your property or your listing that will show up in that MLS, and then they can do the same with us. CRMLS is a broker cooperative. It's not a technology company. So we provide an environment that fosters cooperation and compensation amongst our membership. Compliance is the cooperation product. The data in the MLS should be as accurate as possible. The goal of my department is to provide a level playing field for all of our membership so that you can better execute your duties to your clients. So the rules and regulations are based on model documents by NAR and CAR. Additional rules, regulations, and policies are proposed and approved by the Board of Directors. All rules must be approved by the CRMLS Board of Directors. My department does not write the rules, nor do we write the citation policy. We enforce them. You can find the rules, regulations, policies, FAQs, online exclusion form submission here. go.crmls.org, and you can click on compliance right there. And that'll take you to all the a robust knowledge base, rules, regulations, policies, and all the other things I just mentioned and will mention in the course of the presentation. So what happens if the rules are broken? This is a snippet of the CRMLS citation policy. It contains 4 columns. First, the MLS rule. That is the section of the rules and regulations that was transgressed. After that, warning. Whether or not that particular violation qualifies for a warning notice prior to the issuance of a citation and fine. And then summary. A description of the nature of that violation. And finally, the fine amount. This is the dollar amount imposed or approved by the CRMLS Board of Directors that they approve for each one of these violations. So once a citation has been issued, as a member, you, and when I say you, I mean you in a general sense, not anyone here specifically, but you have 2 business days to make any necessary correction in order to prevent the issuance of additional citations. And also, as a member, should you receive a citation, you have 2 options at that point. You can either submit payment for the outstanding fine that was issued, or if you feel that you were subject to extenuating circumstances, so on and so forth, you do have the option of contesting the issuance of the citation. And you can do that by filling out and submitting the CRMLS Citation Review Request form. And that form is available on our website, or if you communicate to us via email or live chat that you wish to contest it, we'll provide that form to you. Now you do have 20 calendar days after the issuance of the citation to exercise one or both of those options. So in no particular order, the top 5 most common violations that my department sees on a daily basis are this: photo, media, and copyright issues, no exterior photograph, inaccurate information, that's a very common one, late entry of listing and exclusion, and misuse of public remarks. And we'll go into each one of these 5. So photograph guidelines and restrictions. Photo media submitted to the MLS should not contain any brand information, and that's contact information, iconography of your brokerage, your name, your phone number, your broker's name, phone number, email address, website address. It can't have any of that. That's any media submitted to the MLS. For sale and lease signs. So say that you do have a for sale sign on the property, and you take a picture and you see that, oops, I left that sign on there. Not a problem. Open that photo up in a photo editing software such as MS Paint, and you can block out that sign. The sign itself isn't the violation. It's the information on that sign. So now if you ever have a photo that you're not too sure about, if you can use it on the MLS, send it to my department. You can send it to us via email. We'll review it and let you know if that's something that you can use on your listing in the MLS. Messages or solicitations. So a virtual tour, easy example, anything on there that says, share this listing, or where someone can enter their name, their email address, that's a solicitation of contact. And it's not allowed on any media or virtual tour specifically submitted to the MLS. Images that contain people, animals, or other items not directly related to the listing. So if, with people specifically, if they're incidental, so say that you take a lifestyle photo of a property by the beach, and it's close to the pier. When are you going to be able to take a photo of the pier that doesn't have people in it? So, so long as it's far away, they can't be identified, none of them are children, they're what's called incidental. So that's fine. Now, if you take a photo, and I do have an example I'll go show later, of someone who's the focus of the image and or they can be identified, that's not allowed. So, animals. Again, if they're incidental, they're not the focus of the photo, it's fine. So you're snapping a picture of the living room and there's a cat in the bottom right corner just taking a nap. That's fine. But if you took a photo of that cat, you just can't use that on the listing in the MLS. It doesn't really apply to the property. Virtual tours must be listing specific. So most recently my department found a listing where they had a virtual tour that was 10 minutes long. Only a minute and a half of it actually applied to the property itself. The other 8.5 minutes were about the local schools nearby, a mall nearby, I think the community amenities. The virtual tour should only relate to the property itself. If you want to show lifestyle photos, you can. You can upload those in the photo roll. They just have to have that caption stating, hey, this is an HOA pool, or this is a nearby school, so on and so forth. So CRMLS reserves the right to remove any photo media from the MLS at any time for being in violation of this or any rule. Copyright issues, more photo issues. So by submitting media to the MLS, you as a submitting party represent and warrant that you either own that media or you have secured in writing the rights and licenses required to do so. So what do I mean by that? There's 3 scenarios I'm going to go over here. Scenario 1, you took the photo yourself. You drove up to the listing, pulled out your phone, took a photo of that listing. That's your photo. You can use it as you see fit. Scenario 2, a photographer takes the photos on your behalf. Now this is where I think a lot of our membership is not really aware that if you just pay the photographer and they give you the photos, technically the only thing that's changed hands is money. You don't own the rights to those photos yet. Now if they give to you in written form their express authorization and a package of rights and licenses required to use those photos, then you're good. You can use those on the MLS. And the specific rights and licenses required are outlined in Rule 11.5 Charlie. One such form you can use is this, the CAR Form PIA Property Images Agreement. This form, in my professional opinion, is probably the best form to use for this whenever you are purchasing photography services from someone else, because it's like Mad Libs. All you have to do is fill it in and sign it, and you're good to go. This form can be amended to do pretty much whatever you want, but this is probably the best form to use. Anytime you use a photographer to take photos of your property and you want to use this on the MLS, I recommend that you use this or a substantively similar document. So scenario 3, the photos are stolen from another listing or a third party, such as Google Street View. So scenario 3 is a flagrant violation of the rules, specifically rules 11.5 Bravo and 11.5 Delta. Those rules require that by submitting media to the MLS, you either own it or you have secured the rights and licenses to use it on the MLS in the fashion it's designed to be used. Photos taken from another listing in the MLS are, across the board, not allowed. Any photo that contains a watermark on it prior to being uploaded to a listing in the MLS is just not allowed. You'll notice when you upload your photos to the MLS, a CRMLS watermark is applied to them in the bottom right-hand corner of the image. That watermark is to protect both you and us because those photos are now effectively shared. Used to own the original copies, CRMLS watermarks and has a package of rights and licenses to the photos that you uploaded, which now contain that watermark. So any photo that contains that or any watermark is not suitable for use in the photo roll of a listing in the MLS. Good Google, Bing, Yahoo, Getty Images, do they allow their images to be used in the MLS? Short answer, no. Long answer, thank you. Long answer, Google's open end user license agreement that you agree to just by using their service does state that you can use their photos, such as Google Street View, for personal use. However, they explicitly prohibit the use of their photos, again, such as Google Street View, for the purpose of marketing and advertisement. And what is the MLS? Marketing and advertisement. So no, any photos taken from Google, Bing, Yahoo, Getty, any other third-party image service cannot be used in the photo roll of listing in the MLS. I went over that. So I'm going to breeze through these, but these are a couple examples of some photos that are all in violation of one or more rules in the rules and regulations. This one right here specifically, while the rule does say a rendering of the property is acceptable, obviously the property looked nothing like that. So that would not be allowed. Down here, you have a textbook example of branded media. So that photo, this person that uploaded it got Salesperson of the Year, or they won Salesperson of the Year in 1974. Absolutely something to be proud of. You just can't convey that through the MLS. So this had the person's name and phone number on it, and that's branded media. So you can't upload a photo to the MLS that looks like this, that has your name, your phone number, or any other kind of contact information. Copyright infringement examples. So my department's very good at determining if a photo was copied from another image service, such as Google Street View, like all three of these. So I'd also like to point out this one right here is actually not a photo of the property. That is a photo of a piece of paper. They printed out the Google Street View, wrote their own caption, and then uploaded the photo of that piece of paper to the MLS. So that's not allowed. Over here, this photo looks fairly innocuous, but there are several telltale signs that when taken as a group are clear evidence that the photo was taken from Google Street View. The height of the photo, whoever took this photo is well over 8 feet tall. That's uncommon. But that in and of itself does not indicate it was stolen. Google also blurs out the license plates and street numbers on any of their photos, which, and again, of itself, is not necessarily proof that it was stolen. What is proof, however, is the fact that if you could see the photo better, you'd see all the watermarks up in the sky right here. So Google watermarks all of their media with, copyright Google and then whatever the current year is. So that goes back to what I was saying. Any photo that contains a watermark, bless you, prior to being uploaded to the MLS is not suitable for use on the MLS itself. This photo right here was stolen no less than 3 times. And I can tell you that because it contains 4 individual watermarks. This is the one down here I was talking about for CRMLS. The original one, I believe, is SoCal MLS. So that is the origin of the photo. After that, it was stolen by someone belonging to Claw MLS, right here. After that, unfortunately, it was stolen by a member of CRMLS, right here. And then because that watermark has an overlay, it's a little there's a little bit of shade on it that indicates it was applied more than once. So this photo was stolen by another member of CRMLS. So all of those members committed violations of Rule 11.5 Delta. So just to kind of cliff notes that one, if you don't own it, don't use it, unless you've got a contract to do so. There we go. Inaccurate information. So like I said, this is unfortunately a very common one, and it's one that my department takes very seriously. By submitting information. By submitting information to the MLS, you represent and warrant that information is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge and good faith efforts. After being made aware of any necessary correction, a member has 2 business days to correct it or provide documentation or evidence that supports what's in the MLS. So here's an easy one, bedroom count. Say that someone put in 5 bedrooms and they're counting a living room and an ADU over the garage. Now, if they have evidence to support those rooms being used as bedrooms, when we send a warning notice, they can provide that to us, we'll review it, and determine if it supports it. Otherwise, they would have to correct it to what actually the property actually has. Let's say in this case 3. So we would send a warning notice saying, hey, we've noticed or we've received a report that your listing contains inaccurate information, specifically in the bedroom count field. Here's what we believe to be correct, 3 bedrooms. Here's what you currently have, 5. Either you can correct it, or you can provide us with evidence and documentation that supports 5 bedrooms within 2 business days. If corrective action is taken within those 2 business days of the warning notice, then that's it. Case closed, no citation, fine or issue. However, if no corrective action is taken within those 2 business days, then unfortunately, a citation and fine are issued, in which we again request that correction be made. Maintaining accurate information in the MLS is the listing agent and listing broker's responsibility. Unfortunately, CRMLS does not, we're not able to confirm every bit of information in every field of listing in the MLS. We will use our best efforts and all the evidence we can gather to do so, but ultimately the responsibility does fall on the listing agent and listing broker. Auto sold. So this is a subsection of inaccurate information. What this system does, the auto sold system, is it prevents listings from being in the MLS as pending for 10 years. Unfortunately, we do have listings in there that are pending since 1998, and they've since been sold 2 or 3 times. So as a member, that information is worthless to you. That's unusable. You can't use it as comparable. You can't use it to form evaluations. It's of no worth. So this is something my department does pursue aggressively because it's comparable sold data. So what happens is once you put a listing in pending or active under contract status, you have to enter what's called an estimated close of escrow date. That is a date that you believe that the listing will close escrow. You have up until 5 calendar days after that estimated close of escrow date to either manually update the date or close the listing to prevent it from being closed by the system and moved into auto sold status. What will happen if it's not updated is the system will close it 5 days later, and it will add a red flag next to the status of that listing, indicating that this listing was not manually verified before it closed and therefore is of dubious value. So this is also a very easy citation to avoid receiving because the member will receive a total of 14 notifications, 2 each day, 1 via email, 1 via system pop-up, prior to that listing being closed by the system. So you'll get to 14 days out, 7 days out, 1 day out, the day of, and then 3 days after and 5 days after. A total of 14 notifications before my department's even made aware of this. After that, should we receive a report on it, then we will investigate it. If it is auto sold, we will send a warning notice asking you to fill out the auto sold correction form to correct the listing within 2 business days. If that corrective form is not filled out within those 2 business days, or there's no contact from the member in question telling us, hey, this is what the new date should be, or this is what the sold information is, then we can't close on your behalf and correct the violation. So the violation will be ongoing. The citation would again, unfortunately, be issued, and we would again request that you submit the form to correct the violation. Now with this one, if it goes auto sold and you notice that, and my department hasn't issued anything yet, you can come to us and say, hey, my listing went auto sold, I need to fix it, here's the correct information. That's fine. We'll correct it for you, no problem. Thank you for coming to us before any sort of action was issued. Oops. Late entry listing and exclusions. So I'm going to take a quick second here to talk about that new, that clear cooperation policy that's being rolled out. Officially, at this time, I can't speak too much on it because it has not been implemented yet. But CRMLS does fully intend to implement it by the deadline of, I believe, May 1st. So I do know that CAR has rolled out a new iteration of the SELM with, I think it's item 9. So the box in item 9, you may not know what I'm talking about unless you've seen it, but the box in item 9, you are not required to check that yet. But again, once it is rolled out and fully implemented by the deadline of May 1st, CRMLS will be rolling out, we're going to have a website dedicated just to that policy to keep our members updated. There will be plenty of notifications going out, making our members aware of any necessary rules changes. So as a member of CRMLS, you will be kept fully up to date regarding the implementation of that policy. So, with that segue over, Rule 7.8 requires that within 2 business days of the effective date of your contract, one of 2 things must happen. Your listing contract, I mean specifically. Either 1, the listing is submitted to the MLS as a complete listing, or 2, a seller-signed exclusion form is submitted to CRMLS, and you can submit it online at this address. And that's what this page looks like right here. So on this page as well, you also have the CRMLS exclusion form available for all of our members to use. Bless you. So that form right there, you can also use the CAR SELM, really, or any documentation which does clearly outline the requirements. The outlines required for an exclusion form are shown in Rule 7.9 and 7.9.1. But this is probably the best form to use because it contains verbiage that is specific to Rule 7.8, 7.9, and 7.9.1. It's also the easiest one. It's got 4 options, all of which allow you and your seller the flexibility to define the terms of that exclusion period. Now it is important, again, This form is filled out, signed, and submitted to CRMLS within 2 business days of the effective date of your listing contract. Now, what do I mean by the effective date? Per Rule 7.8, the effective date is the later of one of these 2 items. Either 1, the beginning date specified on the contract itself, shown here, or the date that all necessary signatures required to create an enforceable contract are obtained. It is the later of those 2 dates. So there's 2 scenarios here. Say that I have a seller that wants to go under contract today. So I put in their beginning date of, let's say, February, I think 13th? February 13th, 2020. But either myself and or my seller does not sign that contract until March 1st. That contract is not in effect until March 1st as far as CRMLS is concerned. Let's flip that one. So say that we both sign it today, my seller and I, but right here, it says March 1st. That contract, again, is not in effect until March 1st in this hypothetical scenario. Now, if you ever have any questions about that, please contact my department. We are happy to avoid we're happy to help someone avoid committing a violation of the rules before they do so. We're always there, happy to provide guidance. So are all exclusion forms the same? Short answer, no. Long answer. The CAR SCLM, which again was recently updated, but I can't speak too much on it, but it was recently updated to include 3 options. I think option C does say property will not be marketed until a certain date. The CRMLS exclusion form contains 4 options, 2 of which do state the property will not be marketed until a certain date, which will then allow you to separate your on-market date from your list contract date. So I assume we all know what that would mean, but if not, that would effectively allow you to, so long as the property is not marketed, if you state do not market the property or submit to the MLS until March 1st, but your contract's in effect today, that would allow you to enter that listing in the MLS on March 1st with an on-market date of March 1st, but a list contract date of today, 2/13, and when you enter it, it will have 0 days on market, again allowing for the fact that it was not marketed and the form was filled out correctly. Public remarks restrictions. So any public-facing field, specifically the property description and directions field of listing in the MLS, cannot contain any of the following: gate codes, showing instructions, compensation information, lockbox information, occupancy status. That's a fun one. We had one recently where someone said, family will be away from a house 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Their five-year-old will be home alone. So that had to be removed immediately. But that's why occupancy status is not allowed to be communicated in a public-facing field. Email addresses, website addresses, phone numbers, agent or brokerage information, open house information. There's fields for all of that. But you can't have it in the property description or directions field. Language that violates applicable fair housing laws and guidelines. So we would view that as any language that is overtly discriminatory or offensive. Any language that falls into those 2 categories would be considered a violation of this rule. Now, if you ever have, same with photo media, or if you have a contract question, maybe you want us to help you out, tell you what a field means. If you have verbiage that you want to use, but you're not sure if you can, send it to us. We'll take a look at that and let you know if that's something you can use in the MLS or not. Oops. Word ad agent info. So there is these 2 fields: syndication remarks and branded virtual tour branded. They're green. Every other field is blue. So these 2 fields are where you can add effectively the rules. All the rules don't necessarily apply. So you have your syndication remarks, which is effectively a property description, but you can say in there, let's say, Ray Santrach Realty is proud to present, or for questions, call Ray 1-345-6789. Only in this field, syndication remarks. Similarly, virtual tour. If you do have a virtual tour that is branded or contains branding, such as say your personal website, or it's maybe an Instagram link for your Instagram account that shows a tour of the house, what have you, you can put that here. Virtual tour branded. And that is the only place on the listing where you can put a branded virtual tour. Now, if you have a question about your virtual tour, you're not sure if it's branded or not, send it to us, we'll review it, let you know if it meets the definition of branded. So online listing distribution, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but by submitting your listing to the MLS, CRMLS does, or it will automatically be pushed out to all the websites here in that first box. After that, you do have 2 boxes that are broker directed. So, right here, homes.com, realtor.com, Trulia, and Zillow, broker directed. So your broker makes a choice whether or not your listings will go out to those websites. On top of that, There's also List Hub, which we'll show here, plus 90 other customer-facing websites for additional market exposure. So those are also broker-directed. And more questions on that and how you, if you want your listings held off of that syndication, you'll need to speak to your broker. So, CRMLS is broker-driven. We aim to keep our broker membership, as well as all of our membership, as up-to-date as possible. We have multiple resources geared specifically towards brokers, including blog posts, training, syndication management, videos, and knowledge base, and that's at crmls.org/brokers. Training. We offer live in-person classes such as this, or on a more personal at one office level. Live and recorded webinars, quick how-to videos, and a robust knowledge-based library. And that's all at crmls.org/education. Support. Our customer care center is certified Center of Excellence several years in a row. They provide live phone service and support, live chat, and an online ticketing system. They're available 7 days a week, Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 9 p.m., Saturday through Sunday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. They can be reached via these two phone numbers right here, and also at crmls.org/support. Compliance. So my department's dedicated to maintaining clean and accurate data in the MLS for you, our membership. We're typically the first point of contact for anyone that wants to report a potential violation of the rules. My department will investigate, clarify, and correct data inaccuracies and enforce MLS rules and regulations. My department offers live chat and email support. If you have an immediate question you need a very quick answer to, come to us on chat. Our email response time is anywhere from 1 business day to 4 business days, depending on the amount of emails we've received lately. Live chat, our typical response time is less than 4 seconds. So if you need an immediate answer to a question, come to us on chat. You can find that chat link there, crmls.org/compliance. Our live chat hours are Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 12 p.m., and then again from 1:30 p.m. to 4 p.m. So, how am I doing on time? Perfect. Time for questions? Do I have any questions?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
The means by which you notify us of violations, I understand it's through email and not through written notification.
That's correct.
I know NAR made it a fact that you could do that through email. I disagree with that. I believe before you fine somebody, you must give them written notice. Not everybody looks at all their email, and I don't feel that that is the correct means to notify. And you need to take that back to, I guess, the committee that makes those rules, because as a hearing officer, every time they come to me, it's going to get thrown out. Because that is, to me, is not the proper means of notification.
Thank you, sir. I do hear you on that. But Rule 12.22 requires that all of our members maintain an accurate and monitored email address on file at all times. If that's something you'd like to see.
But I don't have to, I don't believe that's proper notification, and I don't believe the general public would accept that as proper notification.
Sure. If that's a policy you'd like to see put in practice, you do have the option of contacting the MLS committee, the local association, to submit an official request for modification. So that is an option available to you. Yes?
Is that an opt-in when we join the MLS, CRMLS?
Opt-in?
Right, part of when we sign on as a member of CRMLS?
You're referring to the email notification? Yes, that's part of the user license agreement that someone would sign and agree to by becoming a member of CRMLS. Yes?
On the photos, what if the owner takes the photo and gives it to you?
So her question was, for anyone that couldn't hear it, is if the owner takes the photo and provides it to you, is that okay for use on the MLS? So short answer, yes, with an asterisk. You would need to ensure that you do have written authorization from them because they own those photos and you do not. So this is true in all things, but get it in writing. Protect yourselves. That's especially when it comes to photo media. So in that situation, you can have them provide you with basically any written, signed, dated authorization to use their photos. Another thing too is sometimes the owner doesn't necessarily take that photo. They may have just Google searched it. And that's something to be aware of and protect yourself from. Because if your owner, or not your owner, sorry, but the owner of the property, your seller, just Google searches and they find a photo that belongs to someone or something else, and they give that to you and you upload it, ultimately you are responsible for that photo because you uploaded it to the MLS. So that's why it's important to protect yourself and make sure that they give you the authorization in writing to do so. Does that answer your question? Perfect.
Right. Him first.
Sure. Yes, sir.
Thank you. On the bedroom count, you go to the property, several properties around our neighborhoods have a different bedroom count that what is registered at the county recorder. So I go there, the seller says this is a 5-bedroom house. I look at the 5 bedrooms, there's a living room, there's a family room, extra and all that other stuff. I mark it as a 5-bedroom, and you come up and you tell me that I'm violating that rule just because the county recorder says 3. Are you the ones making that, or I have to go and bring you and say, take a look, that is a bedroom, that's a bedroom, that's a bedroom, that's a bedroom?
So in that situation, if we issue a warning notice for that, stating, tax record say this is a 3-bedroom property, but you're saying it's 5, you can either correct it to reflect that, or provide us with any evidence you have which supports those other bedrooms being, or those other rooms being used as bedrooms.
I'll give you an invitation to go preview the house.
Well, as much as I'd like to, unfortunately, we don't have field agents. So it would be, again, the ultimate responsibility of ensuring the information is accurate that's submitted to the MLS is on the listing agent or broker. So if we request that you provide supporting evidence
A
to...
statement of 5 bedrooms.
Photographic evidence would also be acceptable. So if the room is being used as a bedroom and it meets the legal definition, which again we don't define, but it meets the legal definition of a bedroom, then yes, we would accept that as a bedroom. So does that answer your question?
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
I have a short question.
Yes.
On the 2 days that we have to correct the violations, that is calendar day, business day, and what happens when we hit the holidays?
So it is, to kind of answer all those questions at once, business days. So a member has 2 business days to correct a violation. A holiday is not a business day. A weekend is not a business day. Coming up, I think, is President's Day on the 17th. President's Day is not a business day. So if a warning notice is issued on, say, Thursday, today, if a warning notice was issued today, the member would have 2 business days to correct that violation. So that would be Friday and then Tuesday of next week. So does that answer your question? Perfect. Let's see. Yes.
What will happen if happen to the agent is on vacation?
So our question for anyone that didn't hear it was, what happens if an agent is on vacation? So if someone is unable to respond to an email, unfortunately, that's not, CRMLS cannot grant an exemption in that case. That's what the citation review form is for. So I can actually, let me go ahead and elaborate on that real quick. If a member does believe that they were subject to extenuating circumstances that prevented them from complying with an investigation, which resulted in the issuance of a citation, for instance, being on vacation out of the country, what have you, then they can contest the issuance of that citation by filling out that form. And what happens at that point is my department will conduct a complete reinvestigation of that case, make sure that we didn't make any mistakes, and during the course of that we'll create what's called a citation review packet, which we will then forward to your association once our investigation is complete again. We'll forward it to your association, and at that point our involvement is out. So your association will be the impartial third party. If it does go to a full hearing, CRMLS will show up and present our case and our evidence, and then the member in question will show up and present, show up and present their case and their evidence, and at that point their association, the panel, will make a determination. So CRMLS is out of the decision-making process at that point. So does that answer your question? Perfect. Thank you, everyone.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are you? Good morning. Good. This person's message is going to cover a few bits and pieces. First off, you may well have seen in your email, we have a general membership meeting coming up. This is to hopefully approve the purchase of an uplight property as part of our 1031 exchange. So that will be next Thursday after the breakfast meeting. I encourage you to come, attend, participate. This decision is yours. This association, I remind you, is yours. It's not mine. It's not the board of directors. And so you have final say on this. Another announcement, a sad announcement. Recently, Tom Crosby passed away. He's a part of the Coldwell Banker George family, but also part of our realtor family as well. It's been shared with me that the funeral service will be on Saturday, February 15th, so it's coming up in a couple of days. from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. and it will be at Rose Hills Memorial Park. The address is in your bulletin if you wish to attend. And our condolences go out to Tom and Tom's family and his colleagues as well. And a couple of other bits and pieces. We have been very busy at the association of late. How many of you were here yesterday for the 5-City Mixer? Great. Those who attended, it was a phenomenal event. Those who didn't attend, you missed out. Could my legislative committee stick their hands up for harmony? I want to thank them. The amount of work it takes to get 5 cities' elected officials, chambers of commerce, and a group of realtors into a room, you can't imagine how much legwork was done by the committee members, especially. We have liaisons to each city as well who personally handed out invitations. There was a lot that went into making that event as successful as it was. We had attendees, like I say, from Chamber of Commerce, local electeds. We had candidates for state and national office show up as well. It really was fantastic, and the food wasn't bad either. And another committee I want to give a shout out to is our YPN. You may well have noticed that they had a bake sale on the go. So could my YPN members please pop your hands up for a second? There weren't a lot of baked goods this morning because they sold out before we even got to the breakfast meeting. I'll try that again. The proceeds for that are going to Maryvale, the orphanage, and they're buying sanitary products for the girls there. That's something that they don't get a lot of donations of. They've expressed that's a massive need. So I really want to show some appreciation for our YPN members and to apologize to those for, my wife was in charge of the bake sale. She was very forceful in making sure everyone pulled their weight. So thank you everyone for mucking in there. So as you can see, this association, it's vibrant. We have a lot going on. Keep an eye open for our other upcoming events as well. It's been a fantastic year so far, and hopefully we'll have even better to come. Thank you.